Welcome to Earthtide Studios. I'm Zach Knight, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you a few tips to be able to thicken up your guitars in your productions. Getting your guitars to sound big and huge in heavy music is really important. And I've got a few different tips that are going to show you a few sneaky ways to use doubling, phase, and a couple of other different techniques to be able to make your guitar sound huge and fat. Because who doesn't want some fat guitars in their songs, right? We've also got a free vocal production course that teaches you the basics of recording, editing, and mixing your vocals. If you want that, just click the link below. But for now, let's get into Cubase. So we're here in Cubase, and we're going to look at a couple of cool different techniques to thicken up your guitars and make them sound fuller and bigger in your mixes. The first tip I'm going to be running through is a pretty simple and straightforward one. It's just going to be using widening plugins on your rhythm guitars. So we're going to have a listen to what we've got going on here for this track that I'm working on for a project that I'm doing with my wife, and we're going to have a listen to what this sounds like right now. But as you can hear, there's quite a lot going on there, and those guitars sound pretty cool, but they definitely could use with a little bit more depth. So I'm going to jump over to the rhythm guitar bus here, and we're going to start off by using Waves S1 Imager. Basically what this does is it just allows you to use phase correlation to push the stereo width of what is running through this particular plugin. So I find that I like to sit this around about 1.2. Basically, the higher that you go pushing the width, the more you're making things sound a bit more mono, which you don't necessarily want. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this sitting here at 1.2, and we're just going to play what these guitars sound like just on their own first, and then we'll bring them in with the rest of the mix. As you can hear, as I push it up there, push the width up, everything sort of shrunk down and it became a lot more mono. You can really go overboard with this plugin quite a lot. I think it sits nicely sitting around the sort of 1.2 point here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to bring that in with the rest of the mix, and I'm going to bypass the plugin and then bring it back in. It's quite subtle, but just have a listen in the rhythm guitar just to see how it's going to spread out just a little bit more. It doesn't do a crazy amount, but it definitely helps push out the guitars a little bit more and just make them sound a little bit bigger and a little bit larger than life. You could also use the side widener plugin from JST to be able to achieve this effect, but Waves S1 does a fantastic job as well. Now, a similar way to be able to get your guitars to sound wider and fuller is to actually play around with the phase correlation between an original version of the track and a duplicated version. So what I've actually done here is I have duplicated this rhythm guitar track over here. And what I've done is I've taken the left channel here and panned it fully right, and the right channel and panned it fully left here. And if we just play those two tracks together on their own, currently at the moment, they're going to sound really mono. It's going to sound sort of straight down the center. Let's have a quick listen. But you can hear there, as soon as I mute those duplicated tracks, you get that stereo spread again. But what we're going to do now is we're going to play around with the timing and position of these duplicated tracks to just sort of play around with a kind of cool technique here to actually push the stereo width a little bit further out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two tracks here, and in Cubase, I just hold in Control and Alt to be able to shift them in time. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to push them back just a little bit here. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick listen to how that has affected the way that they sound. It's kind of cool. You can basically use this adjustment in the time and also the phase correlation here between this duplicated track to the main track here to actually have this kind of really cool widened doubled guitar effect utilizing this little technique here. Now, I would definitely say that this doubled guitar here is way too loud. What I will do is I'm just going to link these two tracks here and I'm going to bring them down, load up the original track, and we're going to just turn them up as we go because currently at the moment they are definitely way too loud. I think I'm going to bring them down just a little bit more. So now effectively they're achieving the same thing as what Waves S1 was before, but you're doing it just using phase correlation and placement there for the tracks. Definitely this is a kind of cool way to do things, especially if you don't have a stereo imaging plugin. So now that we've got those duplicated tracks, we can go one step further with them and actually start playing around with the way that the EQ of them works. Because effectively what you're doing here is you're going to be able to utilize this to push up different areas of the guitar track, whether or not you want that as part of your mix. So let's have a quick listen to them as we bring them in and adjust a few different cool EQ placements for them. So what I've done there is I've actually focused on the area where a lot of power from the guitar happens, around this sort of 100 hertz area, and a lot of the sort of bite and sizzle of the guitar as well. I'm probably going to bring this one down to maybe 1.5 dB and this one down to maybe sort of closer to about 4 or so. And then I'll actually take both of these tracks here and I'll just bring them down a little bit more in volume. And we're going to have a listen to them now one more time, just soloed with the main rhythm guitar track, and have a listen to the differences that it's doing. So we'll take these ones off first and then bring them back in. Just adding a whole bunch of cool extra bite and body to the rhythm guitars there with those duplicated tracks. And you can go a few steps further if you wanted to as well. Over here, I actually have a reamped version of this additional guitar here, where I've actually pitched this guitar down an octave and reamped it an octave below. And what we could do just for fun is we take this same track here, bring it up into the shift, track over here, and just push it forward as well. And we'll have a listen to what that sounds like. So first of all, we'll just play that guitar, the pitched low octave on its own there, and then we'll bring in that shifted one there. And now we'll bring in this other one. It's just thickening things up and pushing things out a little bit more as well. And if you didn't have the time to arrange to do like a reamped pitch down version of the guitars as well, you could sort of just go over to these original guitars that we were working on there, and you could just grab a plugin that you could use to adjust the pitch. So we'll go with Little Altar Boy here. I'll bring the pitch down an octave and we'll do maybe let's go with a 70% mix there. I don't want to go sort of too crazy with it. And what we'll do is we'll just duplicate that over to this next one here. And then we'll have a listen to what those guitars sound like with that coming in and out. So we'll start with the guitars as they are normally, and then we'll bring this pitched one in. It's just adding a little bit more depth and a little bit more thickness to that guitar there. So there you go. Just a couple of quick tips to be able to help you get your guitars sounding massive and huge and chunky in your productions. As you can see, there's not really that much that goes into it. It's all about making those right stylistic choices and just making sure you get things good. But I'd love to hear how you've been tackling your productions lately. Throw a comment below and let me know. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of these production videos. And if you want to level up your vocals, don't forget about our free vocal production course. But for now, have a great day and take it easy. Bye!